Janavallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Gaja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Gaja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jayom Vishupara Paramahansa Paribhasha Kacharya Ashtottara Srimad Abhaya Chararavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitalita Vishnu Vishnupad Ashto Tarasati Srimad Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vindiki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shri Vashari Gaura Bhakta Vindiki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopagopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunde Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Gangamai Ki Yamunamai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samabhata Bhakta Vindiki Shri Jugadharma Harinam Sankirtan Ki Brihat Vidanga Ki Dai Gaura Pimanandi. All glory to the assembled devotees, all glory to the assembled devotees, all glory to the assembled devotees, all glory to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Is this working? Hare Krishna.
Microphone is on.
Do we read from Prabhupada Transcendental Diary first? Yes. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
So reading from a Transcendental Diary, Sri Vrindavan Dham. There is no question of merging. Brahmajyoti means it is a combination of millions and trillions of sparks of living entities. That is Brahmajyoti. They are not mixed up. They are just like the sunshine. Sunshine is not one homogeneous substance. There are millions and trillions of shining particles. Combination is called sunshine. It is not that they are merged. Similarly, every individual soul is individual. Krishna says, Arjuna, you, me, and all these soldiers and kings, they were existing before, and they are now existing now, and they will continue to exist in the future. So where is mixture? There is no question of merging. Eternally, they are individuals, and eternally, they will keep individual. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 A reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, text number 26. There. I just wanted to say beforehand that sorry I wasn't in the program today, but I had a meeting very early at 3:30, so I had to prepare for it at 3 o'clock and didn't finish till 5. So I'm a little behind on everything today. Sarvani madhyayata bhavadbish Charani bhutani sutadruvani Sambhavitavyani pade padevo Viviktadrigbhistad uharhanam me. Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish. Charani bhutani sutadruvani. Sambhavitavyani pade padevo. Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Charani bhutani sutadruvani. Sambhavitavyani pade padevo. Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Charani bhutani sutadruvani.
Charani bhutani sutadruvani.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Charani
Charani
bhutani sutadruvani.
bhutani sutadruvani.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo. Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me. Vaishnavi.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Charani bhutani sutadruvani.
Charani bhutani sutadruvani.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Sarvani madhyasnyataya bhavadbhish.
Charani bhutani
Charani bhutani
sutadruvani.
sutadruvani.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Sambhavitavyani pade padevo.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me.
Viviktadrigbhistad-uharhanam me. Sarvani, all, madhyasnyataya, because of being my sitting place. Bhavadbhi, by you. Charani, that move. Bhutani, living entities. Sutta, my dear sons. Druvani, that do not move. Sambhavitavyani, to be respected. Pade pade, at every moment. By you. Viviktadrigbhi, possessing clear vision and understanding. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in His Paramatma feature, is situated everywhere. Tat-u, that indirectly, certainly, arhanam, offering respect, me, unto me. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. My dear sons, you should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving. Knowing that I am situated in them, you should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me. Please repeat. My dear sons, you should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving. Knowing that I am situated in them, you should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me. Purports. In this verse, the word viviktadrigbi, meaning without envy, is used. All living entities are the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In his Paramatma feature, as confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Andastarastam Paramanu Chayandarastam. The Lord is situated in this universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. He is also situated within every atom. According to the Vedic statement, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, the Supreme Lord is situated everywhere, and wherever he is situated is his temple. We even offer respects to a temple from a distant place, and all living entities should similarly be offered respect. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadah Mahyam Tadati Svapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyate Shasarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpadrubhyascha, Kripasindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namah. So, this is first part of the purport. As I mentioned the other day, not here, but Kali Yuga, one can forget. So just trying to take into account what Srila Prabhupada is saying here. So the first thing Srila Prabhupada emphasizes is Vivikta and Drigbi, that living entities, intelligent living entities, are without envy. Envy, as Srila Prabhupada said, envy is what brings us into this material world. Whether you believe that the living entity descends from Vaikuntha, or you believe that they are generated from Mula Sankarshan, whatever sometimes that's a little controversial. Prabhupada made different statements. But whatever you believe, just like we just read, Srila Prabhupada said, the living entity is always individual. Natvevaham chatunasam. Krishna says to Arjuna that you and I, we've always existed. And we will always exist in the same individual way. So, and Prabhupada was making the point that Brahmajyoti although it seems like just a big energy, it's actually made up of unlimited living entities. And each one of them individual. Even in that neutral state of existence, they're all individual. The only thing they've chosen is to be individually only semi-conscious, only conscious of their own individuality as a spirit soul. That platform is spoken about by Krishna. Brahmabhuta Prasad. Very elevated, according to what our understanding. Brahmabhuta Prasanatma. One is always happy in that Brahmajyoti neutral position. Always happy, meaning at least you're free from all the material miseries. And nashochati nakumshati. There's no lamentation and no hankering. Otherwise, most people, they're always lamenting or they're always hankering. Living in the past, lamentation. Living in the future, hankering. We're never satisfied where we are. We're always thinking. I remember when I was young, my father belonged to the veterans of foreign wars, like all these old soldiers. And they all get together and say, well, I remember this, I remember this, I remember everything, I remember. And then when we're young, we're mostly, I want. And we spend very little time in the middle. When I was a young college student, there was a book called Be Here Now, a famous Mayavad book by Ram Das. And that was like, everybody thought this is the most far out thing until Prabhupada came. Then it was, he also knew Prabhupada, he met Prabhupada. And he was impressed, but he had his own Mayavad. He was contaminated by Mayavad philosophy. So, without envy, the Srimad Bhagavatam begins. Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nimatsaranam satam. Nirmatsara, without envy. If you want to understand this Bhagavatam, first you have to give up all temporary conceptions of religion. Dharma projita kaitavatra. Srila Prabhupada translates that as cheating. Cheating meaning people relate their temporary existence to eternal existence. Just like I remember when I was young, they used to have in the church, they would have pictures of what heaven was like. And it was like the same thing, but you didn't have to pay taxes. Otherwise everybody's the same. And unfortunately, the grandmother would have to stay as a grandmother for the, bent over and walking like that. And the dog would be there, in the dog body for eternality. So it wasn't a very advanced conception. So this is what Srila Prabhupada refers to as cheating. Cheating because it doesn't reveal the beautiful nature of the soul and the wonderful eternal existence of Vaikuntha, which literally means without anxiety. So then, Vejam Vastavam Atra Vastu. This Bhagavatam, how does it free you from envy? It separates reality from illusion. And Tapatrayonamulanam. And it gets rid of all the miseries and difficulties coming from the three modes of nature. And therefore, Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Kute Kimba Paraya Ishvara. Therefore, what is the use of reading anything else? Just like nowadays, I've seen many people, they have more faith in Facebook than in Bhagavatam. At least they act that way because they're always with Facebook. They may read Bhagavatam every once in a while or struggle through a Bhagavatam class. I have to go. But here, in this verse, it says that this should be pade pade. It should be always practiced. This spiritual life, this wonderful understanding that everything is situated in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada gives that example in his purport by that all the universes are situated within the Lord, Yachchakshir, and all his energies are spread throughout the universes. Otherwise, everything's under his control. And then, within each universe, everything that's inside is also within him, and he is within everything. Govindam Adi Purusham. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not just some old man in the sky, just thinking about what I'm doing. If I get a new car, or I get rid of my pains and distresses, God has nothing else to do. Prabhupada said one time someone gave Srila Prabhupada this conception of God, and Prabhupada said that my God is not like that. Otherwise, can't be so limited. So this is called Atmavan Manyate Jagat. We try to see everything in terms of my limited intelligence. I have to box everything into my little scope of vision, just like we spoke yesterday, Dr. Frog. So we want everything has to fit into my conception. Just like something popped on the internet yesterday when I was, I don't know, when I go online, all these little articles appear options before I can get to what I want. And one of them was about the genomes. I don't know how you say that in German. Genomes, like DNA, RNA. Saying we finally figured it all out. We were missing 8%, but now we've got it all figured out. And we can figure out who came from where, from Africa, from Asia. They think they got it all, we've got it all figured out. But the scientists, they're always looking for the smallest, and the devotee is always looking for the biggest. They think the solution is, if you get down to the most irreducible particle, then you have the answer. And a devotee thinks, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Krishna says, I am the source of everything material and spiritual. I'm beyond anything you can see. That's the real challenge. Just like some years ago, I remember, they were experimenting with what they call the God particle. This is the name they've given to the smallest, imaginary. They're imagining it. Even when I was studying physics, I stopped studying physics because we went down to the nuclear reactor and had some particle acceleration with our little glasses on. And then the professor said, there it is. There are the pi mesons. So I said, well, how do we know that? We can't see them. No one has ever seen them. So how do we know? And so they must be, because that's what the formula says. I said, well, how do we know? And so he couldn't explain it. And I said, forget this, physics, no. Just looking for some imaginary thing. Like people call God imaginary, but the whole science is based on imaginary thing, and they're always changing the theory. We don't change our theory, no. We don't change, let's modify the Bhagavatam to fit into the limited conception of modern science or philosophy. But they're always changing. They always have to change things. Just 2 years ago, in one magazine, Scientific American, it came out an article. They said, if we don't figure this out, our whole conception of physics will be completely wrong. I don't know if they ever figured it out or not. But anyway, the point is that these envious people, they can't understand. Who can understand that sadyo hridyavaruttate tra kritibi sushushubi stakshana? If one is shushushubi, if one is very carefully hearing this Bhagavat philosophy, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, then takshanat, and very quickly, by this careful hearing, therefore it's being emphasized here, that the understanding, drigbi means vivikta vrigbi. Vivikta literally means solitary, alone. Otherwise, if this very special, without any interpretation or without envy, can be clearly seen, then everything becomes, as it says here, everything becomes an offering to the Supreme Lord. So this envy is so dangerous. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, idam tate guyatamam. I am going to give you this higher knowledge. Why? Pravalam jnana suyave. Because you are free from envy. And then, because you're free from envy, jnana vijnana samhitam, I can give you all knowledge and how you can utilize that knowledge. And then it will bring you yajgatva. Yajgatva te shubat. It will take away everything that is inauspicious, this knowledge, this wonderful transcendental knowledge. In so many places in Bhagavad Gita, I can't remember that verse, 330 and 331 says, if you're free from envy, you can go to the Lord. If you're not free from envy, you'll have so many problems. And then Krishna says later on that yadrichta labha santushta. If you're just satisfied with everything that happens naturally by your destiny, if you're just satisfied with this, and dvandvatito, and you transcend this duality, and vimatsaraha, and become free from envy, then samasiddha vasiddho cha. Then you will be free from the conception of success and failure. In Krishna consciousness, everything is success. There is no failure. You cannot fail. If you're really sincerely trying to serve Krishna, you cannot fail. Everything is successful. A devotee is always successful. So, envy is such a dangerous thing. Even Queen Kunti, she said that envy it creates a conception of the Supreme Lord as being favoring some people and not favoring others. Samaham, as Krishna says, Samaham sarvabhuteshu na dveshu nahi dveshustina priyaha. That I favor no one and I don't envy or I don't hate anyone. So that sounds a little impersonal. Krishna doesn't like anyone, doesn't dislike anyone. No. Otherwise he's saying, but then he says, Ye bhajante tumam bhaktya. He's impartial to people who have no bhakti. But if you have bhakti, then he's very favorable. So to the pious and the impious, Krishna is impartial. They live according to their karma. But if you worship Krishna with bhakti, with loving devotion, then mamtiteshu, then he's very partial to you. Otherwise, he takes interest in your life. So Queen Kunti said that nahi nakaschit bhagavam chikirshitam. She said that the Supreme Lord's pastimes are just unbelievable, because tabehe manam rinam bidambanam. One can be completely bewildered by them, because nayasyukas chit daito sti karichit. Because the Lord doesn't favor anyone in any place, dveshastra yasmin, and he doesn't envy them in any way. The Lord is free from envy. But because people are yasmin vishama matir ninam, they consider that the Lord is partial because that's the way they see things. They conceive of the Lord by their own through their own limitations. And they think, why is God doing this? Why is God favoring this person? Why is he not favoring me? Why did he do this to me? I've been serving him for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Why is he not favoring me? So this is the unfortunate nature of envy. So we'll continue with the purport. So the Supreme Lord is situated everywhere. Wherever he is situated is his temple. Otherwise, this is the vision of a devotee. Everything is a temple of Krishna. Just like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would regularly take lunch and then he would take a little rest. So one day he took rest and Govinda came because Govinda would give him a massage. And then the Lord was laying right in front of the doorway. So Govinda couldn't come in. So he stepped over the Lord, which is that's the Lord. You don't step over any living entity because the Paramatma is inside. So he stepped over the Lord, he began to give a massage. Then Lord Chaitanya, he woke up and he said, so Govinda, have you taken prasadam? And Govinda said, no. Why? Because I would have to step over you to go take prasadam. I said, how did you get in? And he said, well, I stepped over you. But that was to do service. So I took the risk. But just for my own eating, I'm not going to step over you. So this is the consciousness of a devotee. Devotee is their consciousness is so special. So Lord Chaitanya, when he was on his way to Jagannath Puri for the first time, when he saw the chakra, he offered obeisances from a long way away, because the Jagannath temple is very big, and in those days there were no buildings or anything, just trees. So as soon as the Lord came over this hill and he saw the chakra, he offered obeisances. And a devotee should, when they see the temple, they should offer obeisances. Even the Catholics, they do that when they go by the temple. They go by the church. They, do their genuflex, their crucifix. So this respect should be there, but we should see that everything is a temple of the Lord. Now Srila Prabhupada gives us a warning. All the living entities should similarly offer respect to the temple, to the church, etc. This is different from the theory of pantheism, which holds that everything is God. Everything has a relationship with God because God is situated everywhere. So everything is coming from Krishna, as I just stated. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pavartate. And when we understand this, iti matva bhajante mam, we will worship Krishna. Buddha bhava samavita. Because Krishna gives us that understanding from within the heart. And how do we get that understanding? This is the Chatushloki of Bhagavad Gita. How do we get it? Machchita madgata prana. Because we keep Krishna in our heart. And how do we keep Krishna in our heart? Bodhyanta parasparam. Because we're always inquiring about Krishna. We're always, whenever we're with devotees, we're inquiring about Krishna. We want to know. The six Goswamis, they would come together and just speak about Krishna. And then from those conversations, each one of them would write their realizations. This is the benefit of Krishna consciousness. Katyantascha mam nityam, tushanti cha ramanti cha. By hearing about Krishna and chanting about Krishna, we're always happy and we're always satisfied. Always blissful and always satisfied. We should not make any particular distinction between the poor and the rich, like the foolish worshippers of Daridra Narayan. Narayan is present in the rich as well as the poor. One should not simply think Narayan is situated among the poor. So this was Srila Prabhupada, of course, in his time, there was, Gandhi and other people. They would say, Daridra Narayan. God is the property of the poor. But Prabhupada is saying, he's not the property of anyone. Everyone is his property, the rich and the poor. This idea, Hari Jan, that was promoted by Gandhi, that all the poor are the God's property. They're the real devotees. Although, generally speaking, it's true. When Narada Muni was faced with the situation of Manigriva and Nalagubara, he was thinking, what am I going to do? And then he thought, when someone is very wealthy and they lose their wealth, then they can actually appreciate what they had. And he was thinking, but when someone's very poor and becomes wealthy, then they become bewildered. So he said, these people, they have become rich, and therefore they have become bewildered. Therefore I will make them poor and take away their bewilderment. And of course, Queen Kunti says, Janmashvara Shuta Shivir Edamana Mana Puma, that there are 4 things that can bewilder the living entity. Janma, we think, I'm from a very cultured, special heritage. I'm from this race, I'm from this group. Aishwarya, wealth. We get some wealth and we think I'm very special. As Bhagavatam says in the 12th canto, that everything in Kali Yuga is based on wealth. You have some wealth, then you have power, you have justice. Especially in third world countries where some of us work, definitely you see it more, although it's everywhere. But just that in so-called first world countries, they're more expert at hiding than cheating. They're all cheating, but they hide it better. They're more expert at making everyone think that everything is fair, everything is nice. But unfortunately, why would Lord Chaitanya say, na dana na jana na sundari, na kavita, that these 4 things, especially the first 3, and the first one he said, dana, very dangerous, wealth, very dangerous. So Queen Kunti says that also, wealth is very dangerous. And Shuta, knowledge is even more dangerous. Because when you have knowledge, if you don't have humility, then you become so puffed up. You think I'm greater than everyone. And especially in Kali Yuga. And Shibir, good qualities, bodily beauty, all these, thinking, oh, this is very wonderful. Just like many times people will compliment a woman, oh, you're very beautiful. And she's, oh, but that's not her creation, it's just karma. Not like something that I did. Of course, maybe they're good at putting on, some little things and makes it look better. That's why when people, they get intoxicated, they go to a dark place so they look better, like the bars and discotheque. Like it's dark and it looks more beautiful. So these things are dangerous. Naivarhat yavidatum vai. Because they take away the feeling for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That feeling, tvama kinchana gochara. It comes from a kinchana. When we are a kinchana, when we are free from the influence of wealth and all these things, we're free. We're simply under the influence of the Lord's internal energy. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, the holy name. This is the Lord's internal energy reaching out to us, trying to to bring us to the Lord's lotus feet. So Srila Prabhupada continues, he is not among the poor, he is everywhere. An advanced devotee will offer respects to everyone, even the cats and the dogs. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmani gavi haistini shuni chaiva shwapake cha pandita samadarshina. Dogs, just like in Chaitanya Lila, there were two very fortunate dogs, and everyone offered obeisances to them. One dog, when Shivananda Sain was leading the devotees to go see Mahaprabhu, that one dog started following him. And he became so affectionate to that dog that he would even pay the toll. You know, like in those times, to cross the river, you had to pay a toll with the government toll, and he would pay for the dog's passage on a boat. And then when they got very near Jagannath Puri, one day the dog disappeared. And Shivananda Sain had all the devotees looking for the dog. Even the devotees were thinking, why is Shivananda a little bewildered? Shivananda is attached to this dog. So they finally couldn't find the dog. They arrived. Lord Chaitanya received them, and they invited them all to take prasadam. And when they came into the prasadam hall, there was the dog sitting there at the end of the table, the end of the row. Everyone was amazed. Shivananda was very happy to see the dog. And Lord Chaitanya took some coconut and threw it to the dog. And the dog ate it, and all of a sudden, the dog's body fell dead, and a four-armed form came out and went to Vaikuntha. And everyone offered obeisances to the dog. Another dog, Lord Chaitanya, when he was a young boy, he and his friends, they found some puppies, little puppy dogs. And so they told Lord Chaitanya, you choose the best dog. So he chose one. They said, oh, you chose the most beautiful one. They all started fighting, but he took that dog, took it home. And Mother Shachi said, my dear boy, why do you have a dog? Brahmins, they're not so favorable to dogs. There's a reason why. Anyone know the reason? Why do Brahmins not like dogs, generally speaking, especially in India?
They're filthy. They are dirty.
Yeah, that's true, but the main thing is they urinate on Tulsi Devi. They're very attracted to the smell of Tulsi Devi. They like to urinate on her, and therefore they don't like dogs very much. And so anyway, so she was saying, I trained you as a Brahmin boy, and you're keeping a dog. And Nimai was crying, oh, no, I want this dog. So Mother Shachi, a young boy, said, that's all right. He's such a nice dog. You go take bath in the Ganga, and I'll take care of the dog. So as soon as he left, she put the dog outside. He ran away. And Chaitanya came back. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, the dog escaped. With my help. She didn't tell him that part. And so then sometime later, all of a sudden, in the middle of Navadvip, this dog came out and got up on his hind legs, and he put his front legs in, and he was going, Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. He was chanting. And he was chanting like that in ecstasy. And then he fell over dead, and a chariot came from Goloka Vrindavan, not only Vaikuntha, from Goloka Vrindavan, took the soul, the soul came out of the body, got on the chariot, and went back home, back to Godhead. Everyone was amazed. Wow, such a fortunate dog. So a devotee offers obeisances to everyone, even the dogs. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. So sometimes we don't have this samadarshana. We distinguish. This person's very nice, this person's not so nice. as a Vaishnava advances. In the neophyte stage, we appreciate the deity. We may appreciate the guru until he tells us something we don't want to do. And then as we advance more, we become Madhyamadikaris. We appreciate the devotees. And then we advance more in the Madhyamadikari stage, and we feel great compassion for all the living entities. And the Uttamadikari, they see everyone as their guru. Everyone is their guru. Everything is my guru. So this is Samadarshina. This Samadarshina, equal vision, should not be mistaken to mean that the individual is same as the Supreme Lord. As we were just speaking about the verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Samasarvasya Bhuteshu. Even an impersonalist will see all living entities equal, but sometimes they equate them with the Lord. And this is a big mistake. You can't equate, you just see them. We're all the energy. As Srila Prabhupada said, quoted, Mamaya Vamso Jiva Bhuta, Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. That they are my parts and parcels, my fragmental parts. So we should never, they are always distinct. Every individual person is different from the Supreme Lord. It is a mistake to equate the individual living entity with the Supreme Lord on the plea of a Viviktadrik or Samadrik. Otherwise, Vivikta, seeing everything individual as one, or Samadrik. The Lord is always in an exalted position, even though he agrees to live everywhere. So he agrees to live in Köln. No, here he is, right here. Agrees to live in Mexico, or anywhere. Lord is so merciful. So we have to see him that way. We should never take advantage of the deity, that the Lord has come. And not only has he come, but we treat him like a small child. We cut up little fruit and everything and make it in a nice little plate. No. We don't just offer him a banana. No, take this. No. We prepare everything so nicely. Because the Lord has been so kind to come. And he has to take that position. He is the source of everything that we're giving to him, but he is giving it to us. He makes it seem like he depends on us so that we can engage in intimate service. That's why deity worship is so important, because it's what we do in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, there's no book distribution. There's no, nobody's distributing books, nobody's, no. It's all just massaging Krishna, taking care of Krishna, feeding Krishna, worshipping Krishna, admiring Krishna, the cows, the peacocks. Peacocks love to dance for Krishna. And then Krishna dances to please them, and then they try to dance to please Krishna. Everyone is in this transcendental loving competition of offering service. Krishna offers service. He's the original servant. And so everyone is engaged so beautifully in this loving exchange. Srimad Bhagavatam, quoting Padma Purana, and of course agrees to live everywhere means he lives in the heart of demons. And he's always encouraging them. He's encouraging them by making them suffer. And that's what you have to do. Just like if someone has a child that is not, not obeying, well, then you have to give it a little punishment, something, punishment, some restriction. But the Lord lives everywhere. The Lord lives in every atom. Even the atoms in stool, the Lord is there. He's everywhere. Of course, he doesn't get affected by it like we would. Srimad Bhacharya, quoting Padma Purana, states, Vivikta Drishti Jivanam Jishnataya parameshvarasya bheda drishti. One who has clear vision and one who is devoid of envy can see that the Lord is separate. Bheda drishti, they can see this difference between themselves and the Lord. Different from all living entities, although he is situated in every living entity. Madhvacharya further quotes from Padma Purana. Upapadyat paramatmanam jivebhyo ya pade pade bedhinaiva na chaitasmat priyo vishnus na tukanchanaha. One who sees the living entity and the Supreme Lord as always distinct is very dear to the Lord. Padma Purana also states, Yo harischaiva jivanam bedabhakja hare priyaha. One who preaches that the living entities are separate from the Supreme Lord is very dear to Lord Vishnu. So this last part, 3 quotes, actually 4 quotes. Yeah, 4 quotes about the living entity being separate. So why are there 4 quotes? Why does Prabhupada take so much trouble? Because, of course, he may take it from some commentary in Bhagavatam. There are 135 major commentaries on the Bhagavatam. We only know about a few, but so many commentaries. And, of course, most of them actually, most of the commentaries, they just put 1 or 2 lines. And then they may emphasize like 30 or 40 verses in the whole Bhagavatam. So that just 1 or 2 lines. Only Srila Prabhupada has done such an amazing contribution. Each verse practically has a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, sometimes 2 or 3 pages or 5 pages. So Prabhupada has really brought because he's including so many commentaries. The book that Srila Prabhupada took this translation from had 18 commentaries. The major commentaries, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He only commented on the 11th canto. He was very intellectual. 11th canto is very intellectual, so he commented on that. So the point is, Prabhupada wants to emphasize that we are separate. We see this again and again all through Srila Prabhupada's purports. That he's emphasizing we are separate. We are not one with the Lord. Why? Because this impersonal contamination is everywhere. It's everywhere. Even within Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, it's all contaminated with Mayavad philosophy. Mayavad or Brahmavad philosophy. And so Prabhupada has to really work hard. Just like Ravindra Sarup Prabhu said in one book that he wrote. He said, when I was a young devotee, I heard this word Mayavadis. I thought it was some tribe in India, some tribe of indigenous people. But then he said, and then I realized it was everybody. So sometimes we hear the word and we think, oh yeah, these are some very strange, strange people with strange philosophy. But we have to realize it's us also. Until we become pure devotees, there's some tinge of Mayavad or Sahajya. Mayavad means I want to control like the Lord, and Sahajya means I want to enjoy like the Lord. These are the 2 psychic divisions of Krishna. The Supreme Controller and Supreme Enjoyer. In Tattva, he is the Supreme Controller, and in Rasa, he is the Supreme Enjoyer. So we all have a little contamination of these. As long as we're conditioned, we want to control and we want to enjoy independently of Krishna. And once we give that up completely, then we become pure devotees. So these are some thoughts on this verse. Any comments or questions? Yes?
силу событий, которые происходят сейчас в Украине, очень сложно как бы, рассматривать этот стих. Он, как бы, эмоции, которые сейчас как бы, у меня по отношению к тем людям, которые находятся у нас, вызывают, вернее, мои эмоции абсолютно другие, чем те, которые описаны здесь. Вот как бороться с этим, как подавить эти эмоции, или может их не надо подавлять. По отношению к тем людям, которые сейчас говорят.
Sounds like a commentary. No? Yes.
Rohininandana Prabhu, he is from Ukraine. He is from Irpin, which is to the north of Kiev, very near, and it was heavily affected by the war. It's my commentary to his question, just to give some feedback, background. And he's asking this verse, like he has some emotions towards the aggressors that are, creating this war in Ukraine now. And this is why it's difficult for him to see the situation through this verse.
To love them.
Should he just suppress? He's asking, should I just suppress these emotions, or I should suppress what? How can I deal with that?
Well, if we're pure devotees, we could just see everything as Krishna's plan. But even in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada mentions aggressors, you're supposed to kill them. So it's not an unwarranted emotion. They did many aggressions, burnt the house, in many devotees' cases, separated them from the family, like stealing the wife. So many aggressions are there. So it's a natural feeling. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we try to transcend. We don't repress. Repressing, doesn't. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, what will repression accomplish? It's a natural feeling. But we try to transcend it by hearing and chanting. It's not that I can just say, no, I love them. Thank you very much for kicking me out of my country and separating me from my family or whatever. No, we don't. But we gradually, that's why Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is a gradual process. So I would not recommend suppressing, but at the same time trying to transcend, understanding that there's some purpose. Even though I can't see that purpose, there's some reason why I had to go through this. I don't see it right now, but there is a reason. Because Krishna says, Nami Bhakta Pranashyati, my devotee never perishes. So Krishna is, sometimes we can't understand what he's doing to us. But just like some of the other Ukrainian devotees who I spoke to, they're saying that, but losing all these things, I feel that Krishna is forcing me to purify my heart and become detached. I would say that any devotee who has to go through these things, Krishna has a special plan for them. And because this very heavy experience of detachment and being overwhelmed, once we can transcend it, these devotees will be very strong. All the devotees who had to go through this. Some of us are very disturbed because, I didn't get any Mahaprasadam today. We become very disturbed by some insignificant thing. And so, the devotees who are going through all this, so much, so much sympathy that all they have to go through. But I say these devotees are going to lead the world in Krishna consciousness. They will be an example. When I think of what the devotees are going through, I I can give up so many insignificant attachments. So somehow or another Krishna is taking these devotees from Ukraine and giving all of us strength and determination in our Krishna consciousness. So somehow or another you have all become acharyas. And the more you can transcend, then the more devotees will also be able to transcend their insignificant attachments. Hare Krishna. Any other question or comment? Yes?
Maharaj was talking also about envy.
Mm-hmm.
So in some situations or in some services we have to correct or educate other devotees. So how can we understand if we act out of envious or really compassion for training someone or correct someone or bring on the correct path?
Well, correcting someone, you have to be free from envy. If you try to correct someone and you're envious, then that will take the form of criticism. Because envy means that this person has something that I want, or there's something in them that makes them better than me, and therefore I have to show how they're lesser than me. That's the nature of envy. So if we criticize someone to put them down, that's envy. But if we try to serve someone by giving some good advice, then that's service. But we were discussing this in Goloka Dham, that you shouldn't try to instruct someone who doesn't accept you as an instructor. That just creates false ego. We shouldn't try to correct anyone, but sometimes Krishna puts us in that position that I have to make a correction, because I'm the leader, I'm the guru, whatever. I'm the GBC, I'm the temple president, I'm husband or wife or father. So I have to correct. It should be seen as a service. Any other question? Yes?
I have a question. So, there is maybe two questions in one question. So, everything we have got, because nothing belongs to us. And it means that this feeling, that this state of being envy, also someone has begun it. Somehow it has come from some, how to say, some souls. And so many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years and yugas and yugas and yugas. I don't know, we were carrying it with us, and now we have come to Kali Yuga, I guess. That gives us not so much hope when we know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Mahamantra. And the envy with the time is getting more subtle. So what I don't know what I can say. And if we somehow we will think God loves her more than me, then I'm envious, yeah. But I'm thinking about God.
Yeah. But just like you said, just by taking shelter of Mahaprabhu, we give up envy. The way we give up envy is serving something greater than ourselves. And then gradually we will realize that everything is greater than me. And therefore we will serve every living entity.
Practical, it should be practical. So
And that's, envy is a very powerful thing. So it's not just we give it up because, I heard that envy is not so good, let me give it up today. So it take us a whole lifetime. so easy to be envious. We see someone with better qualities or some more expert, and the first thing that comes to our heart is envy. We think, well, no, actually they're not so expert. I could also do that if I wanted to. Just I don't want to. Otherwise I would be more expert. So it's difficult to get. It's difficult, but we just keep serving those devotees and the Lord and those devotees who we can see are in a superior position, and serve them with sincerity, and then envy gradually goes away from the heart, and then we can include more people in our service, and then gradually everyone is included. That's when we know we're free from envy.
But in spiritual world there is also envy. I'm sorry, I may not speak on such high topics, but that's what I have meant a bit of this, that when we say God loves her more than me, it is somehow more subtle. It is not about side, it is not about the position, that is more or less about love.
Then, Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas are giving us the perfect process. We just have to follow it. And the envy will go away. If we just keep following with sincerity. Therefore the Bhagavatam says, Shinvatam Shradhaya Nityam Vinitascha Swachashtitam. That if I just hear with sincerity and I apply it with great determination, then all of the unwanted things in the heart will go away, just like the autumn rains, which are very soft, will clear the streams. Yes?
Thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. I have one question, because you said that beauty, sometimes we think like, oh yeah, I'm so beautiful, but it's only because of our karma. And I have like similar, it's like when we practice Bhakti yoga, we become like some garments of Bhakti or some nectar drops, and then we, like from myself, we get proud of it, and maybe you can say like how we can really understand it's actually, or like where it's coming from. Is it us or? Yeah.
We have to understand that Bhakti is causeless. We haven't caused Bhakti to happen. There's one verse spoken by Muchukunda, which I can't remember right now. But he says that when one has wandered throughout the universe, or throughout many universes for so many times, after suffering so much, he comes in contact with the devotees. But Jiva Goswami explains that actually it is not a product of my suffering or my wandering in the material world. It is great fortune that the devotee, so therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, therefore Bhakti does have a cause, and the cause is the causeless mercy of the Vaishnava. So it's a causeless cause, meaning it descends upon us by the mercy of the Vaishnava. So if we see it that way, then we won't misinterpret that, that I'm a greater devotee or something, that I by my sincerity I've come to devotional service. It's simply causeless. It's the only thing that's causeless. Everything else has a cause. Everything else is coming from something in the past. Usually we do it the other way around. We think, I'm a very nice devotee because I'm just so, I'm so good at devotional service, and anything else that happens to me, that's because, the other person is bad, or, somehow or another. So we see the opposite. We should think that I'm so fortunate that the Vaishnavas have included me. And anything else that happens to me, that's my karma. That's my destiny. I created it, therefore I shouldn't be disturbed by it. So I think we'll have to stop here because I have to do some things today. So thank you all very much also for your association, and I hope that I have the privilege of getting it again by Krishna's grace, and that you're all very fortunate to have the shelter of His Holiness Bhakti Bhushan Swami or other devotees who inspire you. So please continue your devotional service very nicely, and Krishna will bless you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Swami Guru Prasad ki jai.